Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Sunday, January 21st, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are pulling today. We love to see this card coming through. We have here our Queen of Wands. Why are we so happy to see this card today? Because one of the things that we have been seeing, feminine energy, has been going through a little bit of a struggle point. We've been talking a lot about what that struggle point has been for masculine energy over the last few days. What has been the hurdle that feminine energy has been trying to navigate through? We mentioned feminine energy has been trying to integrate 2 different karmic lessons that have come through since the Venus in retrograde cycle. First one being not to overgive time, effort, energy, and attention to things that do not give back in kind. While the other part of that lesson, though, that is now coming through, that is being amplified by the feminine in the divine union frequency, seeing some of the masculine moving in a certain way, is recognizing and almost seeing masculine energy that is putting forth that additional effort, all for the sake of trying to move and shift and change energy. So we've been seeing that feminine energy in this modality right now, looking at the self, looking at what wants to be healed externally, asking oneself how to navigate a space of wanting to put forward some decisive action without overgiving to circumstances and situations, is effectively an act of feminine coming into their own activation energy in balancing the masculine within them. And a lot of this is potentially feminine seizing upon how to do so effectively. This is going to feel like feminine energy really coming from a place of high communication, amplifying that, utilizing their own intentionality and putting it into practical purposes in the tangible space. Masculine, you may be seeing a feminine energy in this modality. And again, for the energy in the divine union frequency, seeing a feminine energy being able to move in this way is further amplifying that sense of support and encouragement that you've been building with feminine energy in the divine union frequency. Again, the energy in the divine union frequency does not feel intimidated by seeing a feminine energy moving in this quality of activation. Rather, it is almost amplifying to masculine the fact that this feels like dual path work. Masculine has been utilizing moving from their heart space. Feminine, whose ability to move from their heart space is almost sacrosanct, is utilizing this ability of stoicism to use prudence, care, judgment, amplifying their own sense of strength. So we love to see this card coming into play right now because this is feminine energy seizing upon that pathwork in terms of wanting to take what has been feeling like a very internal journey over the last few weeks and putting it into practical application. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union frequency. This ability we are seeing that is so important right now is recognizing that for a lot of energy here, having that sea change, masculine being able to open up to feminine. We've been seeing that the energy coming back into divine union right now, there's a lot of vulnerability at play. But the importance here is, again, masculine coming towards feminine from that place or space of vulnerability and openness is not creating a reactivity point so much as it is creating a place of allowing for a level or degree of productivity that you haven't necessarily been reached before. And one of the things you may be observing, masculine, is if this is a moment that you are pushing past your own hurdles, you're pushing past your own internal boundaries, you're recognizing the walls within that feel like they have a necessary reason versus ones that you are seeing that may be almost that point of pushing through because you're observing that they're not necessarily helping. They've almost been acting as a barrier for you coming into union with feminine. This is almost bringing out in feminine a similar level or degree of courage, amplifying your own sense of stoicism here. Feminine learning, and again, recognizing that you are giving back and forth to each other. So when the masculine comes towards feminine with openness and emotional vulnerability, feminine is almost able to take that level or degree of confidence and encouragement because this is a feminine energy that is feeling that amplification of a masculine that when they say that they want to see feminine in their own power, they want to see and support the feminine, that this is an energy that truly means this. So we see here that this may be a moment right now that for a lot of the energy coming back into divine union, this is feminine starting to truly articulate, starting to build their confidence back up, especially if these are energies that are coming back into divine union. The energy that is coming into union for the first time, this is feminine seeing some kind of change right now in some of the masculine energy that they're building with, showing a masculine energy that's willing to have these hard conversations, and rather than running from them or becoming reactive, is almost pushing through their own emotional boundaries to allow for that ability of having difficult discussions. And the feminine seeing a masculine energy that is not triggered in this way is amplifying that feeling of security and strength and safety for feminine to be able to be open and honest. Feminine energy in separation right now. This is feminine energy that has effectively, again, if in separation, the benchmark, the milestone feels, again, from a feminine energy that is doing so for the sake and benefit of the masculine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What we are effectively seeing here is, again, a feminine energy. If there was a release process here with masculine, this is feminine energy that's trying to amplify to masculine that the desire to build with the masculine isn't the point. It's not that, and even some feminine here rejecting some kind of offer from masculine at this time, it's not the fact of what you call something. It is whether the feminine energy is in a place where they feel that they're being seen, appreciated, respected, being able to come into that feeling of co-creating that partnership with masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And that is why we see that for a lot of the feminine energy right now, even if in separation, there is a sense of having chosen oneself, because the ability to choose oneself and how one wants to be in partnership is effectively overriding even the connection point right now, potentially even articulating to some energy right now that it isn't the lack of desire that is potentially blocking a connection point, but so much the ability of feminine to be their most authentic expression of self in a place or space that they feel like it is safe to do so. Masculine, if in separation right now, this could be a moment or modality where you're moving towards either new feminine energy that you're seeing these attributes and qualities in. You're having that ability to have these open conversations with. Simultaneously or similarly right now, this could be masculine energy having conversation with feminine energy in relation to circumstances surrounding them, potentially in the hope or aspiration of getting some kind of advice or insight. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, second card in our 5-card spread for today is our Ace of Pentacles. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency. This is feminine energy putting that direct effort and action into their thoughts and their plans right now. What have we been seeing over the last few weeks? I told you that ever since that Mercury retrograde, masculine was putting that practical application out there. Feminine was much more in that emotional, internal planning stage, trying to navigate within the self how to proceed forward. This is where we see feminine is now getting together that plan, putting that practical play application into play. Feminine feels like they've seized upon that pathway, and it's allowing the feminine now to take what has been feeling like an internal journey and putting it into the practical space. Masculine, you may be seeing this right now on the part of a feminine, and one of the things that masculine you may appreciate is this is not a feminine energy that moves from a state or space of reactivity. This is a feminine energy that weighs their choices. They weigh their own emotionality. They give themselves that pause point, and even in that way, feminine energy's own ability to do this feels like it is something that benefits both. Again, you feel the support, you feel the strength of having created a nurturing environment where feminine feels that confidence in order to move forward in this way, while also feeling like, in a way, you are simultaneously reaping the benefits of being in union with an energy that is empowered in this fashion. This is that sense of reciprocity that we're seeing, getting what you're giving. So for the masculine energy right now, this is almost masculine masculine energy, continuing to fortify and amplify a feminine in this modality, encouraging the feminine to continue forward in this way. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is looking very positive and productive, specifically because we see here, if this is energy coming back into divine union, I told you, this isn't feminine energy that is seeking a label from masculine. This is why we see that if there was a confusing situation and someone's trying to fix it by just calling it something different, or trying to intensify the name or the label of a partnership situation, that's not necessarily leading to coming back into divine union. It might be amplifying separation right now, because you can call something anything that you want. The offer that feminine is seeking is feeling like they are co-creating with the masculine, feeling like the masculine recognizes and is allowing the feminine the full sense of clarity and choice that amplifies the ability for feminine to be able to build with the masculine. Feminine experiencing that and feeling that on the part of a masculine energy, it is affirming to you that there's something that feels like a difference here, because this isn't necessarily a masculine energy that is just trying to offer you divine union like it's something that they can give you. This is masculine energy that's literally saying to you, will you build with me? Can we build this together? And that gift that the masculine is giving the feminine is the clarity, is the choice. It is the ability to have that clarity and to craft what that is together. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is why we see that the feminine is at a moment that it may have felt like it was kind of heavy. Feminine's moving into that sense of having chosen themselves, having that ability of, again, being able to let go of a karmic connection by saying, I aspire for this, I desire this, but the way that you're approaching me is not the situation or circumstance that feels like it is correct, is a feminine energy that is, again, almost amplifying to a masculine if in separation, that the desire isn't to be in separation. This is feminine energy going into a release process with the hope and aspiration that when the masculine energy understands these lessons, understands that divine union isn't something that you can just offer someone or pull away. It's something that you need to be consistent and grow together. That when the masculine understands not just the words of divine union, but the actions that need to be intrinsically connected, that energy will come back in some form. And that ability of feminine to hold to this right now is not necessarily a feminine energy that feels like they've released anything. It's that, or rejected anything. This is feminine energy that feels the power of amplifying what it is that they're truly seeking in partnership. Masculine, if in separation right now, you may have a feminine that's trying to articulate this to you. You may have a feminine that's trying to identify to you the difference between what you're trying to offer them, especially if you're potentially in separation and you're trying to just move back towards feminine without providing this clarity, without providing this intention of purpose, versus what the feminine is seeking. That's the feminine that's almost trying to articulate to masculine. And again, we almost see that there's a feeling right now, a feminine feeling like, to a certain extent, if this is happening, it feels like the communication wires are crossed, because it may even feel like to feminine like you're talking on different frequencies. That what you're trying to offer them is what is like the label of something. Feminine's trying to amplify what the actual action of that is. So we see that for some of the masculine energy right now, this is either something that you're understanding, that discernment between just putting a label on something and instead really asking, providing someone the clarity, the intentionality, the ability to stick through difficulties and navigate them together. That action is not a word. That partnership is an action. So that ability to show the feminine through your actions, that level of commitment, is something that you're effectively potentially learning right now in separation, or you're investing on that path work as it relates to an energy, getting more insight on what the difficulty or disparity is, all for the sake of being able to go back towards feminine in a way that will allow for more productivity going forward. positivity for all energy, even in separation right now. Third card in our 5-card spread for today. Look at this energy today. This is very positive. Now, one of the things that we are seeing here, and I need to stress, this is why we're reaching a level of careful discernment right now. Because what did I say is happening for the energy in separation right now? The passion is not the point. The passion is assumed. This is, again, what did we say yesterday? We identified the fact that feminine assumes that if masculine's approaching feminine, there's clearly passion there. The passion isn't the problem. And this is potentially masculine and feminine, even in separation, recognizing that feeling of mutual passion, trying to articulate upon what else exists beyond the passion. Taking the passion and moving it into the practical space, understanding what else is attached to the passion. Because again, this is feminine energy that is, again, and masculine, and this is the only disparity here. This is feminine that realizes and recognizes that masculine may come towards feminine with all the passion in the world, but there needs to be some explanation on what it is that they're truly seeking. And this is feminine energy that's almost putting that like guardrail there and saying, wait, before you come lead towards me with all that passion, please explain what you're actually offering. So we see that this is masculine energy in separation right now. This is potentially masculine energy trying to come back into union with feminine, but feeling again that this is feminine that is asking for this discernment point in terms of seeing if you can build together and being able to talk about what the shape of that would look like. Or masculine energy, this is a moment or a modality, and this is where we could see some potential confusion coming through, because this could be masculine almost feeling that this is feminine energy that's trying to pull some kind of commitment out of you. And if that's happening, this is where we see the disparity is, because this isn't feminine energy trying to pull a certain commitment out of a masculine, so much as this is feminine energy that is looking for masculine's ability to articulate upon what it is that they're offering. You understand the difference between those. This isn't feminine trying to wrestle a commitment offer out of a masculine like a bag of Cracker Jacks. This is feminine energy that's saying to them, I need to know what it is you're seeking, even if what you're seeking is just passion. Even explaining that is effectively moving towards me in a state of openness and clarity, because it creates something through which we can understand and identify what is between us. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This ability not just to feel mutual passion for each other, but to amplify and articulate what that shape is, the limits, the boundaries, what that looks like. You are co-creating this together. And that ability to co-create it is amplifying the ability of energy right now, feeling like this is productive space to be able to maintain a divine union partnership. Because masculine, you're potentially feeling like this is a feminine energy that you can be open and vulnerable to, and it becomes a place of productivity. Feminine energy, you're potentially feeling that alignment with masculine that, again, allows that openness of communication, even through difficulties, to be able to navigate, even in the sense of amplifying whatever that is that exists between you. Masculine and feminine in the divine union frequency, this ability of putting practical effort towards things now, you guys are in alignment again. Remember how I said over the last few days, there's been a little bit of frustration because this was masculine and feminine working on different fronts? This is that ability of starting to feel a bit of that flow state coming back in. A lot of this almost required some addressing, some observation on what you might have needed to change, what you might have needed to release, what was working, what was not, even potentially between you both right now. And this ability to collaborate, this ability to communicate, this ability now to feel that kick of energy coming back towards you right now is being amplified towards one another. Because again, the importance here, the significance is, even while you're trying to push things forward for yourselves, it doesn't feel like you're doing this in a place or state of autonomy. This is almost like you're both kind of moving that ball up the hill together, just in different ways. Feminine's giving a lot of guidance right now, doing a lot of planning. Masculine's putting a lot more direct action into play. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is through adversity. Look at all of these wands today. But again, this is productive adversity. This is productive conflict. This is what we've seen over the last few days of getting an understanding of what needs to be tackled. The beauty and the ability of observation and clarity is when you see what the problem is, you can see what you need to bring towards it to ease a problem. So we see here energetically right now that ability of masculine and feminine to have that point of offering to each other what you're experiencing right now, what those hurdles are. Building that sense of clarity for each other is immediately allowing for amplified productivity. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability to talk about challenging things, to talk about difficult things, to talk about things that may have even led to separation from other energy in the past because it could not have those types of conversations, is amplifying now the energy that is staying in the divine union frequency right now, as opposed to energy that has just got affirmation that they cannot come into divine union. Because the ability to look at conflict and not run away from it, but to be able to take that conflict and utilize it for productive means forward is the value point in recognizing energy that can stay in the divine union frequency, because it's feeling like you are operating on the same team. It feels like you're doing things to amplify your path going forward. You're not coming at each other oppositionally. You're not looking at each other as like one wins or one doesn't win. You're looking at the fact that anything that you're able to take that's a conflict point and come to a mutual agreement on, that is the positive. And even in that way, this is almost that moment of observing and feeling the power of a productive conflict point, that it doesn't require you to always be on the same page. In fact, that ability to navigate and to have those moments where you both have those different perspectives, even if it's challenging, it feels like it's productive because you don't allow yourself to get triggered through it. You don't run away from the conflict. You don't react to the conflict. You don't let yourself get, overreactive. You move with intentionality and you observe the advantages of having those disparities between you. And it doesn't require you to be in lockstep. It's ability of taking each other's perspectives and realizing the gift is the different perspective. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is potentially a lot of hard conversations as to the fact that this doesn't potentially exist between you and another energy. If there's a moment here that someone is trying to move back towards someone and it's creating a conflict point, that point of observation is almost something that someone may be trying to say to another energy. Because remember what I was saying yesterday in relation to the fact that someone was literally observing someone expressing all the reasons why divine union could not occur, even in one's own ability not to take that note to find that point of productivity, almost coming through as something that feels more like reactive or non-positive. This is almost someone trying to present the example of an active conflict point that's presently happening now. That is the example on why the divine union can't come into fruition right now. There's almost someone saying, can you not see that what I'm trying to amplify to you, you're living out in real time? So even now in separation, there may be a feeling of some energy if there's still some kind of active conflict happening and someone being like, you're literally doing the thing that I'm telling you is making it impossible for us to maintain divine union. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread, 2 cards coming out here. We have here Star in its reversal in combination with our Empress in its reversal. So even for masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency right now, this, I have to stress, is feminine energy kind of putting on their battle armor, if you will. This is feminine energy putting on their battle armor. This is feminine energy putting on their battle armor for the sake of the energy in the divine union. This is feminine energy that's not allowing themselves to move or operate from a state or space of emotionality. The only problem that we're seeing here right now is this is feminine energy, even in the divine union frequency, that's working a bit and feeling like they're trying to protect their heart space. This is feminine energy that's like, again, I told you, and I'm not surprised to see this. We are seeing here that feminine energy had to recognize, what did I tell you was happening? Feminine energy is trying to put a lot of practical application in a lesson that has been spiritually building up over the last few weeks, potentially even over the last few months, since the Venus in retrograde cycle ended over the summer. Feminine energy, looking at this right now, is also feminine energy that's moving with a lot of caution, because the feminine energy that's looking to put practical application into something right now is recognizing their own ability, as I said, of overgiving to situations and circumstances. Feminine energy is trying to heal themselves from their own tendency to overgive to things that do not give back in kind. And that is why we see even now this feels like a bit of a strength training exercise for feminine energy, because this is feminine energy that's trying to walk that line of putting care, effort, energy, and attention in something, but only to a point, only to a ratio, not letting themselves get too energetically connected so much to the degree that they will emotionally start to want to overinvest in something that they're recognizing might not have the ability to give back in that same capacity. So even now we see that feminine is going through a little bit of internal conflict about this as they're forming this plan, and feeling the frustration of a masculine that seems to be able to do this with much more ease, taking notes from that energy, potentially even getting advice from that energy as they proceed forward. So this is a lot of planning right now on the part of feminine energy. Masculine, seeing feminine in this modality right now, may be amplifying the fact that you're effectively trying to assist the feminine in this fashion, because this is, again, a feminine that recognizes, that almost looks right now, and this is the only problem that we're seeing, that some of the masculines recognizing right now, feminine energy's own tendency to doubt their own ability, to doubt their own heart space, to doubt their own sense of vulnerability and openness. This is what we see right now. This is almost masculine energy in divine union, affirming to feminine that this isn't something that they need to be as conscientious about anymore, because this is feminine energy that's trying to be amplifying masculine, saying, I've got your back. This isn't something that you're doing alone. And even now we see that ability and recognition point is in a way feeling triggering to feminine, because this is a feminine energy that doesn't want to rely on masculine for that. This is feminine energy that's trying to find it within. So even now we see that even while there's something here that the masculine may be becoming supportive as, this is feminine being like, I know you're saying this, I need to believe this. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that moment and modality that we see is having a lot to do with hard conversations. This is potentially getting to the heart of the matter right now in relation to the prioritization of energy coming into divine union right now. What have I been saying? These are hard conversations that some of these energies are having right now as it relates to divine union. Some of these energies fell out of divine union right now, specifically because someone was energetically pulled away from something, from outside karmic connections. And even now there's a moment that the feminine may be expressing to masculine that masculine's own ability or lack of ability in doing this in the past may have created a space where feminine is still utilizing a lot of caution and anxiety, because this is some energy here. This is some water under the bridge that needs to be dealt with. And it's potentially requiring some hard conversations about what to do about energy outside of partnership right now and what one might do going forward. What is the energy in the divine union doing? They're not running from that conversation. They're having that be a productive conversation. There's even potentially accountability in the terms of energy recognizing a lack of that prioritization of the energy in divine union that led to some energy falling out of divine union. So the ability right now to talk about these things in an open, honest way, not pretending that these connections don't exist, not just trying to push them into a closet, but almost opening up, expressing them, explaining all of the factors at play. That level or degree of clarity is affirming to feminine that masculine is prioritizing the union with feminine, because what is the masculine energy doing right now for the energy that they're moving into divine union with? They are offering them clarity, even knowing that it is a difficult conversation. This is feminine feeling the value of a masculine that's not trying to feed the feminine some illusion or false reality of what is occurring around them. This is feminine feeling the strength of a masculine that's willing to have those difficult conversations for the sake of clarity. And that is affirming to feminine that this is energy that is truly invested in building towards divine union with the feminine. Feminine and masculine in separation right now, this is feminine potentially feeling the frustration point around masculine energy. And this could even be a feminine that feels to a certain extent that they're having to push back away from a masculine where the question of desire isn't the point. If this is a feminine energy that effectively asked masculine to provide clarity and context in relation to other energy surrounding them, and even now, rather than providing that clarity and context, it is creating a place of opposition, reactivity, even while someone's trying to offer something to a feminine. This is feminine that's almost potentially trying to tell masculine in separation. They're trying to show them that what they're trying to do is incongruous, that there's an incongruity here in the fact that the masculine may be trying to offer something to feminine in word, but does not seem like it is matching by deed. So this is, again, potentially feeling like a conflict point between what the masculine is potentially trying to offer the feminine to come back into partnership out of separation. And this is feminine trying to amplify to a masculine in this way that what they're trying to offer them, especially if it's just like an increase in the name of something, isn't what the feminine is asking for. The feminine energy is potentially asking for clarity. The clarity is the offer. The clarity is the only offer. Without the clarity, everything else just feels like air. It just feels like something that is almost like a balm to try to keep that passionate connection. And that's why we see feminine maybe trying to articulate this to a masculine, pushing them away even as they're trying to come towards them. And the feminine saying, you don't necessarily want to build with me if there's this other energy you're not being open to clarify with. You're just amplifying to me that you have a great deal of desire for me. And having a great deal of desire for someone versus choosing to co-create in the divine union frequency are just two very different things. Continuing to get masculine, you may be feeling like this right now. And again, if this is a moment or modality where you're in separation over this, you may be getting that understanding of potentially having fallen out of divine union due to some outside energy. And we saw this over the last few weeks, that again, you were trying to amplify as harmless doesn't feel so harmless anymore, because you're recognizing that your ability to move towards something that you said was harmless has now led to a separation point, because again, you're recognizing that you put your energy and effort into a bunch of stuff that was harmless instead of what you were saying was your priority. Masculine energy in separation right now, this is also that amplification point that you may be feeling, that again, that ability to lend clarity is something that is on the table here. You may even be realizing that there's some kind of connection point that you could come back into, but it's going to require you to have that openness. And the problem with some of the masculine energy around this right now, if in separation, is the desire to be open about something may be matched with the fact that this wasn't something that you were immediately open about. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Wands in combination with our Ace of Pentacles. May I please have one card to clarify clarification coming through right now with our Sun card. This is beautiful. This is productive. All of this work right now does feel like it is keeping things in a positive space. Feminine feeling optimistic. This is feminine coming through with a plan of action. Feminine energy coming up with that plan, getting ready to put that plan into play. A lot of planning here with a lot of optimism. So this is feminine energy that is not just putting a lot of time, effort, and energy into what they care about right now. There's doing a lot of communication and planning around these things right now because the feminine energy is feeling that point of optimism, being able to marry those two lessons effectively. And this is feminine energy almost feeling like it is going to require a little bit of stoicism on their part, but this is feminine energy that's feeling the confidence in relation to seeing masculine that moves in that way, that is almost reaffirming feminine energy's own ability to do so. Masculine and seeing a feminine in this modality right now, seeing a feminine energy that is coming up with the plans, putting those plans into action. This is just further affirmation because masculine, it's not, and I have to say, it's not like, masculine, you are recognizing and feeling the full weight and strength of not only feeling like this energy around you is so fantastic, it is so supportive, it is so articulate, it is showing all of these abilities, but you're also giving masculine energy in this modality right now is also giving themselves credit to a certain extent, because masculine energy in this modality right now is recognizing that is also something about them building that sense of connectivity with feminine to such an extent that they're seeing and watching the feminine energy grow and take that type of action. And again, these energies are amplifying that they are encouraging each other along the way. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is that moment, especially if feminine and masculine, you are seeing something that may have previously caused a conflict. What's happening instead of causing a conflict? There's no conflict here. You're taking something that may have previously caused a conflict and it is becoming productive. You're finding this is that breakthrough energy that we want to see. This is the moment that we see masculine and feminine are observing each other and they're seeing that this is a matched pathwork. Energy that's ready and has learned the ability to move into a place of productivity instead of conflict, working together instead of pulling apart. And that ability to feel like you are on the same page, that you're not necessarily trying to pull each other into different sides of the street, but you're moving together, as it were, even through the difficult parts, is amplifying the fact that these are energies that are showing a level or degree of consistency and ability to navigate adversity that is giving a lot of optimism and positivity as it relates to the ability to be able to maintain this going forward. Masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is why feminine is feeling satisfied right now if in separation, because again, this is potentially even a feminine energy that is feeling the sense of like someone that's trying to drive towards them strictly from that base of desire. But the thing with the feminine is this is feminine that's seeing that as such. This is feminine even looking at some energy and being like, yeah, the desire connection between me and another energy may be unquestionable, but that doesn't equate to something that is tangible or real. And feminine energy holding this forth, feminine energy navigating and maintaining and articulating that base needs to be there, wanting to see the shape of that, wanting to see the actions that match the words. That ability of feminine to navigate that feels like feminine coming into their own sense of power. That's feminine energy that is effectively amplifying and feeling to a certain extent like the breakthrough point is not allowing themselves just to follow their passion center, but recognizing and modifying and allowing this to be a point of stoicism, holding to their boundaries of what it is that they require from masculine, feels like the achievement for feminine that is building that sense of empowerment going forward. Masculine in separation right now, this could be, again, some kind of energy here. Masculine in separation, you're potentially having some kind of communication right now if in separation with the feminine that is articulating that regardless of what the passion is between you both, they want to get clarity on what it is that actually exists between you, what the shape of it is, what they can expect going forward. And masculine, you may be, again, either feeling like this is a feminine that is going to hold forth on this And this is that separation point, because again, this is almost a feminine that's communicating and amplifying to you that their desire for you isn't the question. It's understanding what that looks like. So either for masculine right now, this is two different modalities that we're seeing here. This is either a modality wherein you understand fully that what the feminine is seeking right now isn't what's necessarily aligned to what you want to offer at this time. But even recognizing this right now is building a sense of clarity for you masculine, because you're recognizing and hopefully you're articulating and identifying by stating what you can bring forth the feminine to see if there's some kind of happy meeting place here. Or masculine energy, this is potentially feeling like you are observing or feeling like there's a feminine that wants you to give them some kind of offer. And that moment feels like it may feel like counter oppositional to your own desires and needs at this time. So we see here that even for the energy right now in separation, masculine, your own ability to recognize and understand that there's a feminine energy here that needs to understand what it is that you're offering them beyond just that passionate connection. It allows for some kind of clearance of path here. It's just a question of whether you want to meet them in that way. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Pentacles in combination with our Knight of Wands. Clarification coming through right now with Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine, this is effectively potentially something that you're experiencing right now. If in separation, which is potentially a feminine that's trying to amplify and articulate to you that when you don't provide them this clarity, when you don't provide them that understanding, when you're not willing to be expressive in terms of talking about what that actually is that exists between you both, that it creates a state or space of impossibility for feminine, because it creates a place where the feminine doesn't know where they are. And that lack of understanding, that lack of optics almost creates a sense of chaos in the feminine energy. So we see here, in a way, this is masculine kind of recognizing that there is this like barrier to coming towards feminine right now if in separation, which is feminine trying to identify potentially, if you're trying to move towards feminine right now without offering this clarity, masculine, it may feel like you're hitting a little bit of a roadblock or hurdle. Because this is feminine energy that's almost identifying that without that clarity point, there's an impossibility factor that's being reached here, regardless of the passion that you have between you both, because this is feminine that's almost seeing that passion as a source of chaos in their life. Feminine, in separation, you may be feeling like you need to articulate this to masculine energy, especially if this is masculine energy that's trying to come towards you without creating that sense of clarity. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, that sense of accountability is exactly what's allowing for this energy to come into divine union. This could even be masculine energy right now taking accountability and observing that the ability to not be clear, to only drive towards feminine in the past from the state of a passion center, was creating something that was feeling disruptive, that wasn't allowing fertile ground through which to build or grow. The ability of acknowledgement we see for masculine that's able to really articulate and clarify what the feminine can and cannot expect from coming into union with masculine is providing that ability of providing some new ability of starting afresh with some energy right now, masculine. And the beauty about this fresh start is that it feels like it's coming from a place of honesty. The honesty, the clarity is leading immediately to productivity instead of conflict, because this is that understanding, masculine, that the only time that the conflict arises is when there's confusion. Feminine, you may also be experiencing this right now, especially if there's a masculine that's doing that hard work of telling you things that are hard to experience. This is, again, feminine experiencing that right now, masculine not putting some mask of illusion on something, but being very clear and honest about where things are, explaining that messiness, even as it relates to outside connections. That is affirmation to feminine that this is a masculine that they can truly move into divine union with, because again, this isn't masculine that's trying to put rose-colored glasses on the feminine. This isn't masculine trying to paint a picture of an ideal situation to the feminine. This is masculine that's showing that vulnerability point and showing the messiness, even in their own life, all for the sake of growing in a point of clarity and honesty together. Masculine and feminine in divine union, you do this for each other all the time. You don't sugarcoat things. You don't pretend everything is fine when it's not. In fact, you recognize when you see something that isn't moving in the way that you would ideally aspire or desire to, you're quick to discuss it, because you feel that sense of recognizing that when you have a need, instead of it becoming a point of conflict or condemnation, it's going to be accessed and utilized as a point of productivity. Continuing to get clarification between these cards right now, between our Knight of Wands in combination with our Five of Wands. Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Swords. This is the beautiful aspect of being in the divine union frequency, which is, again, the desire is not to have conflict. Conflict doesn't serve any purpose. This is almost that moment or modality of, again, recognizing that in the divine union frequency, the reason that conflict is productive is because it feels like you're not battling each other. Conflict comes through so that you can come into a space of mutual productivity going forward. The goal being the end of a conflict. What needs to be done to end conflict? Coming into that point of both energies desiring that sense of mutual easement, and I have to stress this, is one that is not in any way expressed in one person or another feeling like they win. Because if someone wins, then someone feels like they inherently lost. So what we see for the energy in the divine union frequency, again, the goal is not to be right. The goal is not to win. In fact, if anybody feels like they won, it feels like it is antithetical to being in the divine union frequency, because if someone won, then someone lost. And if someone lost, then the divine union frequency lost. So that ability to find a point of mutual agreement, that point of mutual understanding, that point, and again, the compromise that's necessary there, the accommodation, looking towards the other, not in terms of what you can get, but what you can give, is being amplified in the energy in the divine union frequency, because even as the conflict may arise right now, it's not the purpose. The goal is to ease the conflict. And even now we see that these are energies that are helping each other through external or internal conflicts in this way. Conflict resolution is the watchword of the day. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, you may be experiencing this. This is either amplifying energy that's truly ready to come into divine union right now, or new energy coming in that's seeing some kind of breakthrough, something that isn't going the way it did in the past. Because this could be feeling right now a moment where you're having difficult conversations, things that may have led to rupture points, separation modalities in the past. But again, if the energy is ready to come into divine union, the goal isn't feeling oppositional. It's not trying to come through as right. It's utilizing that conflict as a sense of deeper easement. Trying to come into that point of finding that middle ground, finding that ability to work together, growing with the prioritization on not on personal passion or direction, but the divine union as the gift that you're both trying to support is allowing for a sense of ease that's coming towards it. And it feels like it's easier because if the conflict is there, it's not like a conflict of someone trying to win or get their way. It's a conflict that comes through in terms of figuring out the best path going forward. Masculine and feminine separation right now, this could be someone literally trying to explain this to someone as they are arguing with them. And unfortunately for some of the energy right now, this could be feeling like someone is letting someone else win a fight. Almost trying to come into immediate easement, especially if there's something here where someone is trying to continually bring something forward. Because what we're effectively seeing right now is if someone feels like someone is coming towards them in this adversarial way, it's affirmation that divine union can't happen, because again, the energy is coming towards someone in an adversarial way. How can you have a divine union if someone is coming towards you in an adversarial way. This is literally someone seeing that, and someone who's trying potentially to get their way to such an extent that they're creating conflict, and it's almost amplifying to someone in this connection, specifically potentially some feminine energy. If this is masculine energy that keeps pushing forward past feminine energy's own boundaries, this is feminine that's almost trying to say to masculine, like, can you not see that this isn't about us coming into mutual agreement right now? This is you trying to push yourself, push your own desire through what I'm trying to tell you. Like, even this is almost, there's something about the way that some of the masculine energy is moving towards the feminine right now, that feminine is trying to say, look, watch what you're doing now. Because it's almost affirming to feminine something about a masculine that isn't necessarily ready to come into that point of opening up, of understanding, of compromising. Someone who's just allowing their desire to drive them. And desire, feminine has discovered, is fickle. Desire is no way to build, because where you desire to go in one way on Tuesday, on Wednesday your desire is going to lead you somewhere else. And that's feminine feeling like the tail is leading the dog, and that's feminine saying, I can't move in that way. It's too difficult. It's too difficult just being an object of your desire. And a lot of the feminine energy is, again, surrendering to masculine, saying, when you stop viewing me as just an object of desire and you're ready to view me as a co-creator, well, you'll know where to find me. Masculine, you may be feeling this moment right now of a feminine, and this is where we see that there could be some like confusion happening, because especially masculine, this could be this moment that feminine is trying to amplify the nuances, the details about the way that you move towards them that doesn't make the feminine feel like you are appreciating them having that level or degree of clarity, autonomy, and choice that feels equal in a partnership right now. It could just be feeling like a feminine energy that's trying to let go of a connection. The problem that we're seeing here for masculine is, again, you may be trying to affirm to feminine right now your desire for feminine. But this, I have to stress here, these separation points right now are not built upon a lack of desire. Feminine does not feel the problem here is masculine's lack of desire. Feminine's worried if this is a masculine that's only coming towards feminine because of their desire. This is feminine saying, your desire is fickle. If the only reason you find me a good partner is because you find me passionately attractive, then one day that will shift. One day your passion will drive you elsewhere. This is why we see that the feminine energy is trying to say, passion is not enough to sustain what we're trying to create together. I need you to see me as a peer. Masculine energy, you may be understanding this and having that point of understanding. Even now, it may feel like it's coming at a high cost because there is something about a feminine potentially surrendering here. But it's also building some clarity going forward. Clarification coming through right now with our Five of Wands, our Empress in its reversal, and our Star in its reversal. Will you still love me tomorrow? That's what the feminine energy is saying right now in separation. And that's why we see if there's a masculine energy that's trying to lead towards feminine right now and trying to amplify how much they desire the feminine, how much they want the feminine. This is almost a feminine energy that is potentially pushing back on the masculine in this modality and saying, that is not the point. Your passion for me does not usurp our ability to actually connect. Your passion does not equate to care. Your passion is fickle. Your care is consistent. And this is feminine energy that's looking for the energy right now, if in separation, saying passion is good, connection is better, consistency is best. And this is feminine energy that is amplifying the fact that while they may feel a lot of connectivity to some energy that they're trying to release right now, if this is an energy that has not prioritized clarity, intentionality, choice, that is moving in a way that they're moving towards feminine more as an object or a prize or something that is desired to be coveted instead of building with. This is feminine that, again, is almost feeling that need to release this energy, because it's feminine feeling the anxiety about asking themselves, what happens on the day that this energy no longer finds me attractive? What happens on the day that this energy no longer feels that sense of passion? What happens on the day that I no longer can fulfill that ideal, that dreamlike quality? What happens on that day? And this is why we see that to have a masculine that only comes towards the feminine from a point of passion always creates a sense of problem for feminine, because it feels like that is a landscape that you can't necessarily promise to be built on ever eternal. The body is a changing thing. Passion loses its energy. And this is why we see that feminine energy is almost releasing a lot of passionate connections right now to ascertain and to see if that level and degree of true care is existent, that shows and reflects a true, deep, healed karmic connection that surpasses that immediate sense of passion, that surpasses that immediate sense of beauty. That ability of feminine to be their most vulnerable self and still feel like they can be seen and appreciated is what is happening to a lot of the feminine energy right now, which is why the feminine is feeling, even at this moment, even as they're feeling that conflict or that separation or that desire. This is feminine affirming this path work, because this is feminine saying that they're prioritizing a healed karmic connection over a passionate one. And it's not feminine saying that the two can't exist in the same space, but feminine needs to ascertain and make sure that the energy is recognizing that intentionality of purpose. Masculine, you may be feeling this right now if in separation. And even now we see masculine, we're seeing a lot of indications that some of the masculine energy in separation may be turning to others right now to get some kind of point of insight. Because for some of the masculine energy in separation right now, there could be this moment that is potentially feeling like a frustration point, because it could be this feeling of you trying to move towards feminine energy right now, but feminine energy pushing back on you. And that lack of understanding may be something that you're trying to get some clarification on, because again, either masculine energy and separation, you're starting to understand this. You're starting to understand the anxiety of the feminine and why they may be moving in this way, especially if you guys feel like you're having different conversations on what like partnership is or what you're offering. This may be a moment, masculine, that you may be turning to positive healed energy around you right now, trying to get a better understanding. So we even see here, there's karmic healing that's coming through, because they're, even for the masculine energy in this modality right now, having that ability to talk to those that you have those positive karmic connections with, maybe helping you get some clarity on the difference between what you're bringing forth to the feminine right now versus what the feminine may truly be aspiring and desiring ultimately. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. The ability potentially of a masculine to have these hard conversations, to realize that the offer that feminine wants isn't just a title. It's the clarity, the honesty, the forthrightness, even around the things that are less than pleasant to discuss, even getting clarity about other energy surrounding the masculine. That ability to discuss those things, masculine being willing to show feminine that they're not just trying to put rose-colored glasses on them, that they're really willing to show them the full trajectory of the life that's around them, is feminine feeling the full amplification of an energy that they're truly building an energetic connection with, because this is an energy that doesn't put feminine on a pedestal, that doesn't just feel like eminent, like you put objects on a pedestal. You put prizes on a pedestal. You share emotionally. You open up emotionally with energy that you consider your peer, energy you consider your connection point. So feminine seeing masculine being willing to bring something forth to feminine that they even realize may be difficult for the feminine to receive, is amplifying to feminine that this is someone that they can truly grow and build with, because this is a masculine that isn't going to hide or shield those difficulties, they're going to bring them forth to the feminine. Masculine, you may be feeling that ability right now, the ability to have those difficult conversations with the feminine right now, pushing past your own boundaries. But again, not having it create something that feels adversarial, almost a feminine energy that's welcome and opening to that conversation, is allowing a level or degree of productivity, because you're also recognizing that you're giving feminine energy the path of choice. That now feminine energy is also coming into a place of being able to have some autonomy and choice in how you navigate those situations. And that ability to recognize that a gift that you're giving the feminine, is effectively feeling like the immediate deepening of a karmic union coming into divine union. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now, this is something that you provide each other. You don't hide the difficulty points. You don't hide those from one another. You share them. You're open about them. You're expressive about them. Feminine right now, even potentially going through a lot of modalities where feminine is having some doubts of the self. Feminine energy may even be going through some difficulties or hurdles with other feminine energy right now. There could be a lot of potential comparison that's happening right now with some of the feminine energy that we're seeing here. And what we're seeing is feminine energy going through that internal conflict, because we see that for a lot of the feminine energy right now, remember, that ability to like try to move forward right now, but feeling vulnerable and confident to do so. In divine union, what's masculine doing? This is masculine trying to show feminine a true reflection of who they see they are. Because this is almost masculine saying what you're identifying and saying about yourself, it's not accurate. And this is, again, a masculine energy that's almost helping the feminine in this way, saying like, again, your ability to be so critical on yourself is something that needs to be navigated. Like, this is almost masculine saying that that's one of the hurdles for the feminine right now. Feminine feeling that moment, that your own ability to question yourself, but again, a masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels the most aligned to, that is quick to show you when you're being too hard on yourself, is the gift. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Sun card and our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Look at this. We love these cards today. High Priestess energy. Masculine and feminine energy in the divine union frequency right now. This is feminine energy. You know, a little bit about this right now is, like I said, feminine energy putting on their battle armor to a certain extent. This is feminine energy trying to be super logical about things right now. And when the feminine energy sometimes gets super logical, they gotta like lockbox the heart center. Gotta lockbox it up a little bit. And what we see here is that moment or that modality where feminine is utilizing this, or like almost like closing off like the heart space to a certain extent, so that they can think more logically about some things right now. So they can assess a problem and figure out the solution to things in a way that they're not necessarily feeling too emotionally connected. Remember what I said about the feminine energy right now, doing a lot of this karmic work and not letting themselves get triggered? That being the accomplishment of the Mercury retrograde cycle for the energy and divine union. This is feminine energy putting it into practice. This is feminine energy being able to look at something right now that may have created a trigger point for them in the past, not getting triggered. Feminine being able to look at it and going, that doesn't bother me anymore. I'm not feeling phased the way I used to be phased about it. It's not creating that reaction space. I can just look at it now and I can feel okay, and I can figure out how to go forward on it. This is feminine energy healing that. And feminine energy, again, recognizing that they can do that, is allowing feminine energy to feel confident to pave their path forward here, because this is feminine energy that doesn't feel like the ability to overgive to something that doesn't give back in kind is going to occur here, because feminine energy realizes that that was the trigger point that they were working to heal. Masculine, seeing a feminine working in this modality right now, a feminine energy navigating something that may have previously triggered them, seeing feminine energy's own, even feminine energy's own ability to be like, it triggers me. Like feminine being able to go like, it triggers me. I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel great. Like that ability, even for the feminine to be in that modality, is masculine saying like, This is a feminine that has a sense of oneself that is escalated to the fact that the feminine energy can even recognize or go through things that are challenging right now, and it's not creating that overwhelm. It almost brings them into a point of objectivity. So for masculine, seeing a feminine in that modality right now, that is again feeling that sense of confidence, because this is a masculine energy that feels like this is a feminine energy that isn't rattled by difficult situations. That in a way that the feminine takes that negative and turns it into a positive, and masculine's doing the same for kind for feminine. This is masculine almost trying to amplify to feminine that if this wasn't something they were able to do in the past, that was because someone was not creating the safe enough environment for them to feel like they could move in that modality. This is why we again see a masculine putting a lot of practical application and communication to feminine, trying to strengthen feminine energy's own sense of self, because this is masculine energy almost trying to say to a feminine, if in divine union, I've seen this in you. I know that you have these qualities and characteristics. You just need to be encouraged to bring them out. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability to navigate difficult situations. Masculine, again, coming into divine union. This is dual path work. If there were situations and circumstances that used to trigger you, you're potentially realizing that you also have the ability of acting like a mirror. There's getting a little bit of a chicken and egg thing here that's happening, huh? Because what we're seeing here is these are energies coming back into divine union that are learning lessons from the past. It's not that things aren't happening in the past, from the past, that weren't unsettling. But again, masculine, your ability of bringing forth to something to the feminine that you fear may create a trigger point, and seeing a feminine that is showing you their own ability of handling something difficult and being able to utilize it almost immediately from a point of productivity is amplifying masculine, that this is a feminine energy, that when they say they want you to be honest with them, they mean they want you to be honest with them. It's feeling like that immediate, like they taking that risk, having that point, opening up in that way is immediately showing you that this energy meant what they said. And the ability to recognize that masculine is potentially fortifying your own confidence in terms of moving into divine union. Feminine, seeing a masculine that's willing to have that hard conversation. They're willing to show you the messiness of something. They're willing to talk about like the strange circumstances around outside energy around them. They're giving you that clarity, even if it's not pretty. Your own ability of maintaining a level or degree of objectivity and clarity right now through what is now a triggering situation of masculine opening up to you in this way is again amplifying your own ability of coming into divine union, because much like the masculine has to push forward and say something difficult for you to hear, your ability not to get triggered by it and also maintain a point of composure that leads to productivity is showing the fact that you and this energy are equally aligned in terms of how much path work you've done that is allowing you the ability to move into divine union. So this is a big milestone, because it's not that everything becomes perfect when you're in divine union. The ability to take a negative and turn it into a positive is the energy of the divine union frequency. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is a feminine energy potentially doing everything they can to try to explain this to a masculine. And this may feel very problematic for some of the masculine energy or feminine receiving this right now, because for feminine, it could be feeling like it's something that is so obvious, like the nose on someone's face. This could be feminine literally seeing it happening in front of them. They're literally trying to explain that something about the way a masculine is trying to approach them right now is amplifying that something here hasn't turned into that. There's almost feminine seeing this happen right now. If this is even a feminine saying to a masculine that's trying to come back to the feminine, you have a tendency of getting very reactive when we try to talk about things that we could utilize to like improve a relationship. If this is someone being like, no, I don't. What are you talking about? Like that ability of like that reactivity point, that pushback or that refusal to talk about something that may be happening here is like, it's creating that sense. It's like sad but true again, that's potentially happening for the energy in separation, because this is feminine energy going, they can't see their own forest through the trees. This is feminine energy that's potentially trying to show the masculine, being like, what I'm telling you, you do, you're literally doing right now. And so what we see for some of the feminine energy, this is why feminine in a way is like almost surrendering that battle, if that's occurring, because like if you're trying to say to someone, you're doing the thing that I'm telling you is preventing us from coming into union, literally as I'm telling you that you're doing it, it's like the records, it's like the record scratching. Like, what do you do with a scratched record? You just got to take the record off, because it's like it's literally just skipping and there's nothing that can be done here. So that's why we see, to a certain extent, feminine observing that is feminine just kind of making peace, because feminine's like, it hasn't changed. It's the same. And feminine's just kind of like throwing their hands up. You know, it's making feminine just walk away from something, because like you can't keep articulating to someone that something is problematic if they can't see it. Masculine, you may be feeling right now like there's something that feels kind of impossible or frustrating if you're in separation right now, because you could be feeling like there's a feminine that is saying to you, I want to be with you, but not under these conditions. And for masculine right now, that modality is almost feeling like the feminine, you may have this impossibility point that's occurring right now, where you're just, you're feeling like this feminine is being too picky or needy, or isn't being clear, because this is a feminine that feels like they're sending you mixed signals. But this is a feminine energy that's trying to articulate that this isn't a mixed signal situation. This is feminine energy that's saying they need to be in an environment wherein they feel like they have clarity. They don't want your passion center to be why you're moving towards them. They want an energy where they can talk about what this landscape is between you. They want the full optics. They want to understand what the other energy around you is. They want to know what the path forward is. Offering them a part or a place in your life is almost feminine saying, I don't want a part of your life. Even if you're willing to give me a part of your life, I need to see the full map. You need to give me the clarity of optics on what the rest of it looks like. Even if you want to give me a portion, you still need to give me that clarity of that map, because feminine is saying, I can't operate in a place, whatever we create together, even if it's a portion, without the clarity of everything else around me. I don't have any point of understanding where we are or what exists between us. It's the difference between living in an illusion versus moving from a place of choice. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now. And the energy coming into divine union is providing that to one another in whatever shape that takes. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Pentacles in its reversal and our Ace of Swords in its reversal. And this is the problem. What happens? What does feminine observe when there's a masculine energy that's trying to come towards them from a passion center? Feminine energy is asking for clarity. Masculine energy gets reactive or pulls away instead of giving that clarity. This is feminine energy that just sees that as a masculine that feels that is trying to come towards feminine, but only on masculine's terms. That isn't necessarily masculine energy that wants to co-create with feminine. That is masculine energy that wants to put feminine energy in a place of illusion. They want to build a story for the feminine. They want to just show them what they want to show them. There's only like a portion. They want to show them this instead of showing them the full picture. And this is feminine energy saying, I'm not asking for everything. I'm asking for clarity. I'm asking you to show me what you want to give me versus everything else around you. Because if you're not providing the clarity, then there's nothing here that is equal. There's nothing here by choice. Feminine energy can only make the choice in what you're offering them if they have the full understanding of everything that exists around it. And what we see for a lot of the feminine energy here, that act of surrendering is potentially feeling like there's an energy that's trying to come towards them right now that is only trying to serve their own needs and desires. The passion is not the question. The question is whether this feels like someone moving in the energy of a co-creator, someone that wants to build with the feminine, or someone who moves in a way that only sees feminine as a prize, as an object, as something there to fulfill their desire and need, and doesn't desire or require that level or degree of clarity, of openness. So we see for a lot of the feminine energy, this feels like an act of surrender, and it's an act of surrender around some energy that the aspiration and desire that's not the question. The question is observing the nature of the connection. Masculine, you may be feeling this right now because, again, there could be a moment where you're wanting to move towards a feminine right now, and this is feminine energy saying, I want to move towards you too, but not under these conditions. And masculine, if you're experiencing this right now, this could feel like a moment of frustration because, again, there could be a feeling like you're having a different conversation with feminine, like you're not necessarily understanding. And this could be a moment that you're saying to feminine, what do I need to give you? Or what do you want? And if feminine is saying, I want clarity, I want full understanding, I want you to answer my questions about who these people are or what that was about. If instead of giving that to them, it's being met with like an inability or a lack of desire to want to have those hard conversations, then in a way it's almost amplifying something that feels like it needs to effectively be released here because it's opening up this deeper conversation, masculine. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to as it relates to what it is that you're effectively seeking in relation to partnership. Are you actually looking for divine union, or are you looking for something that feels more like companionate energy that's just there to serve your needs, that you can depart and leave when it doesn't serve your needs? Because that is a relationship model, but that's not necessarily one that the feminine energy, you have to be very open to the feminine energy if that's what you're moving towards and you're potentially experiencing that feminine energy isn't necessarily inclined to follow that if you're not meeting them at least from a place of openness, clarity, and honesty. A lot of the masculine energy coming out of separation right now, healing through this could be the observation masculine about accidentally putting feminine energy in this modality, or seeing how the way you are moving from the point of view of the feminine, if you weren't providing this clarity, may have felt like, and you can potentially see now, that it is this opportunity that may have limited your ability to grow with the feminine because, again, you weren't giving feminine the choice or the opportunity to grow with you so much as you were presenting them an option and saying, take it or leave it. But the thing that you recognize, the moment you recognize something about yourself, it gives you the power to change it. So even recognizing that may be allowing some potential shift right now. Energy coming into divine union, this shift is effectively occurring. There could be energy right now that is taking accountability for moving like this in the past. There could be a moment right now of coming into integrity, potentially even saying to feminine, I recognize that when I don't give you full clarity, I'm not doing something for the benefit of both of us. I'm moving in a way that serves my needs. That ability to only want to give you that perception, that clarity, takes your own ability of choice out of the equation. And we see here that for the energy recognizing that, it is saying, I'm no longer doing that. I refuse to do that because, again, that is the energy that is relinquishing the aspiration of moving in a way that doesn't feel equal for the sake of moving in divine union. And it does require a level or degree of compromise. It does require a moment of making sure that both energies are on board in terms of how to move forward. But that is the concession point. That is the gift. That choice that you create is the gift of divine union that leads to like progress, but it also leads to prioritization of needs of another outside and beyond the needs and the immediate desires of the self. Energy in the divine union frequency, you recognize this, you navigate this. A lot of this work that you're doing right now is moving through those modalities. We're seeing both energies are in this place right now, navigating each other's anxieties and fears about your own abilities right now. There's a lot of triggers that are here right now. We see that energetically, the energy in the divine union frequency put their care, effort, energy, and attention towards some situations and circumstances right now to see if they could come into healing. And even now, there may be something that is being identified here that feels like that point of recognizing that something energetically here might not necessarily be ready to be healed. But at the same time, the important point that we're seeing here is that question and looking at situations and scenarios right now and asking oneself if something can be energetically improved or if something just needs to be avoided. Clearly, like this is like a lot of the path work right now for the energy in the divine union. The optics of clarity allow for this point of observation. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Ace of Swords in combination with our Six of Cups. Clarification coming through right now with Seven of Wands in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy right now working to support one another, because again, what do we see that the energy is doing right now in the divine union frequency? They're putting that optics on. They're utilizing their own powers of observation and conversation to ascertain what feels like it is productive, what feels like it can be repaired, what feels like it can come into easement versus what needs to be surrendered. That observation point, that ability to see something clearly, to be able to see the conflict point, the gift of having that, even if it was kind of energetically draining over the last few days, is allowing for productivity, because it's ascertaining what feels like there's the possibility of being energetically healed at this time versus something that needs to just be kind of surrendered, at least for now. Because we see here that this isn't any energy here that's like giving up in some way, shape, or form. It's just building a point of looking at something and saying, is that ready to heal or is it not ready to heal? It's not stopping the energy moving forward. It's just more of that like touch point. It's like it gives a lot of the energy of like checking a pot to see if something's ready and being like, nope, that's not ready yet. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This ability to navigate situations or challenges, but not feeling like you're adversarial, almost coming from a state of being supportive. Looking at those difficult, challenging situations that you're presenting to each other, all for the sake of amplifying that your connection is the priority. Being willing to relinquish anything that feels like it is going to challenge or disrupt that partnership, because that is the point of choice that we're seeing that gets amplified when moving in this modality, is allowing for breakthroughs and immediately the deepening of divine union energy, because that's that moment of someone saying, I'm willing to let go of whatever I need to let go of because you're the priority. The energy of the divine union is the priority, and that ability is amplified through giving someone the choice as it relates to the full energetic landscape around you, so that you can make those choices together. The gift is surrendering the complete autonomy of the self in order to have the advantages of the energy of the divine union. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is someone who's literally potentially saying to someone, you're not energetically ready for divine union. This is potentially someone saying, I know you think that you're telling me that you're ready for divine union. You're not. Because what you're telling me, what you're showing me, your refusal to be open, your refusal to allow that modality of choice, your refusal, your ability to be reactionary, that's not divine union. This is someone literally trying to say to someone, I'm letting this go because what you are asking, that ability, that desire to not create the clarity, the refusal to present that, your refusal to be open, your refusal to be transparent, your ability to be too reactive. You're not ready for divine union yet. What you desire, you're not even potentially ready to articulate that you're not ready for divine union. Like it's literally someone saying, I can't even express it to you because if you can't see this in yourself, there's no way you're going to understand what I'm telling you. So that's almost that moment energetically that someone's relinquishing because they realize that this is not the type of path work that you can teach someone. They just have to be ready to be in that modality of surrendering the full autonomy of self to the degree of wanting to like shield someone from the reality of a situation to be able to come into true divine union. So we see here that a lot of this energy and separation right now is trying to like have a peaceful like movement forward, saying like, when you're ready, come find me, even as someone is potentially pushing forward in a way that's like amplifying that they're not necessarily ready yet. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between High Priestess in combination with the Magician in its reverse. Temperance. And this is the problem with this right now, because again, this is that modality in not being able to wait for someone to come into this. The hurdle here is, again, feminine energy doing a lot of this releasing process right now, because again, it's not coming from a desire to have to let go of an energy. The aspiration and hope is someone can kind of move out of this modality right now. But this is feminine energy saying to a certain extent, they can't wait for that to occur. This is feminine energy even further recognizing that to come into union with an energy that's in this modality, it almost assures that it'll never get fixed. Because why would it get fixed? Why would it get fixed if you move into union with an energy that only moves in this modality? There's no reason to fix it. This is energy of feminine feeling like, again, the partnership opportunity is there. It just never is one that'll bring about a state of equality. Because again, it is it's almost requiring feminine to be in a modality of being completely open, while the other energy is in a place of being completely closed. This is feminine almost having to accept and see. And this is the problem. Feminine cannot pretend. When a feminine sees, this is requiring feminine to literally have to pretend. It's not even feminine not seeing something. It's requiring a situation where feminine has to pretend they don't see what they see. And this is why we see so much of the feminine saying, you need to be clear on me because you don't seem to understand. I see everything. What you're asking me to do, which you don't seem to understand, which is why the feminine's saying, I need the clarity. Feminine's like, I already see the lack of clarity here. I already see you intentionally keeping things from me. I already see that you get reactive instead of talking to me about something. I already see that you use that reactivity as a smoke screen to get out of difficult conversations. This is feminine saying, you don't understand. I can't pretend everything's okay if this has already happened, because I already see you trying to pull a trick. And it's a bad trick. I can see the trick occurring. And you think that you're pulling a trick on me. This is feminine going like, it's a bad trick. And you shouldn't be trying to make this a modality where you're trying to be illusory. This is feminine almost saying, I can't express to you if this is happening, how absurd this is. Because this is feminine being like, I can see what you're doing. Just be open. It's not working. And for masculine, if you're in separation right now, this could be a moment, and again, this is either this observation of feeling a feminine is saying this to you and understanding what they're saying and recognizing that they're almost begging you to a certain extent and saying, please come forward. Please become clear. And this is that modality that, again, this is either amplifying further separation, because this could either feel like someone who is seeing this about themselves right now, recognizing the reasons that they may feel like this, and potentially even seeing the fact that moving in this way is just effectively preventing partnership with feminine. Or this is potentially doubling down. Or this is potentially feeling like, again, this is where this starts to feel like this is unhealed, because this is almost that moment of someone trying to be like denying that that's potentially occurring, even as someone's trying to say that they can see that it's occurring. And that modality is where we see that, again, the energy coming back into divine union is someone saying, I don't want to do that. You're right. And you're completely right. I was doing it before. And yeah, I'll tell you everything you want to know about those things. And I'll give you all of the clarity that you were asking for. The clarity, the whole picture, the whole map is the offer. That is the offer. The energy coming into divine union is even potentially masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, saying, I don't want to be in that modality anymore. I don't want to do that. And even recognizing that, there may have been something about that in the past, the ability to articulate and amplify and even describe how one was doing that in the past almost amplifies how much healing has come forward through this. Masculine and feminine in divine union, this modality is one that almost provides some level or degree of assurance here. This is masculine energy. This is now, remember that give back? Look at this give back that's happening right now. This is feminine energy saying, I'm not perfect. And masculine being like, I think you're pretty damn perfect. Like you doubt yourself too much. You compare yourself too much to others. And this is masculine saying, I'm not perfect. And this is masculine. What's masculine doing? Taking accountability, being like, I've had moments in the past. I've been less than great. I've had moments in the past. I've moved in a very, selfish way. The observation point. What's feminine saying? No. This is feminine energy saying, I see you. I see that what you're going through right now is you doubting your own self, because this is a masculine, again, the gift of the feminine. Masculine opening to feminine is letting feminine act as a clear mirror to masculine. This is feminine saying, I know all parts of you. I see all parts of you. If you weren't moving in a way that I would appreciate, I would be the first one to tell you. That's not this. That ability right now for masculine to trust feminine, to be able to reflect a clear mirror to them, is the gift of divine union. How do you have it? How do you get to see a clear mirror? You have to stand before it exposed. So the masculine that's able to be vulnerable like that to the feminine is a masculine that's able to see themselves clearly and to trust when the feminine brings something forward to them, that it always helps. That it's not in a moment of, this is not a feminine that would sugarcoat something for the part of the masculine. This is a feminine energy that, again, the masculine trusts this feminine's insight. And that masculine having the reassurance of a feminine that's willing to show them things that aren't easy for them to see, but also recognizing that feminine would never tell them something that wasn't true. And that ability of masculine to recognize that gift that the feminine can provide in that way is almost amplifying to masculine that this isn't a feminine that requires them to be perfect. It just requires them to be honest. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now, between our Magician in its reversal in combination with our Seven of Wands in its reversal. And this is where we see for the energy in divine union that the feminine becomes a stabilizing force from the masculine. Because a masculine that feels like the gift of being with this feminine is not feeling like one needs to put up a fake front. Not feeling like one needs to pretend that everything is perfect. This is a masculine that feels that the feminine is there in a moment to see masculine and embrace the masculine even when they're not perfect, because feminine isn't asking masculine to be perfect. They're just asking them to be honest and to provide that clarity. The energy in the divine union, masculine always feeling like that stabilization point, because this is a feminine that sees you in your most authentic expression and accepts every aspect of you, even in the imperfection. And guess what? You do the same, but honestly, you don't necessarily see so much imperfection here, so much as feminine's own ability to over dramatize their imperfection. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. Masculine, you're potentially discovering this ability, if you're coming into divine union, that the more open that you are, that this isn't necessarily a feminine that's running in the opposite direction. This is a feminine energy that's showing you piece by piece that the more open you are, the more stable and grounded the feminine is. And the ability to continue to open up is almost that gift, because you're realizing that the only time the feminine starts to become reactive, the only time the feminine starts to become unstable, is when you make the feminine feel like they don't know where they are. and that something that you're giving them feels like it is false. So masculine, you're recognizing now that the more open that you are with this feminine, the more stable the feminine becomes. So in a way, this is helping you grow into a version of yourself that is able to drop one's own armor, because you realize that the more you do that, the stronger the feminine energy is able to support you. Feminine, you may be seeing this on a part of a masculine who's taking accountability for being in the past, potentially not as open, not as honest, maybe even telling you places and spaces in the past they had to learn those hard lessons. But even a masculine energy that is willing to take accountability for situations and circumstances in the past wherein they may not necessarily have been perfect is amplifying to a feminine, a masculine that's not putting up a false front to feminine, that's trying to show them a true interpretation of themselves. And that ability is, again, building stability in feminine, that this is a masculine that they can grow with. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. This is potentially very frustrating for feminine energy in separation right now. Because this is literally potentially seeing a masculine energy in separation that you're trying to articulate and telling them that you desire for them to come forward in this point of openness, in this point of accountability, in this point of clarity. And instead, you're just getting more of the same. Instead, you're getting more smoke and mirrors. Instead, you're getting more like denials. Instead, you're getting more insistence that like what you're saying isn't true, or what you're saying isn't like, that deniability. And it's like that moment is almost amplifying to feminine. The energy is not in a space of wanting to co-create. They just want to give feminine that optic. And they're insisting and saying, no, you have to see it like this. This is the only way you can see it. Because that's also masculine that's trying to deny the feminine's perception of things. And feminine sitting here feeling really feminine, literally in separation, being like, I see things better than you see things. I see things that you can't even see. How are you telling me that I can't see something? This is feminine in separation, feeling that sense of, again, experiencing this. It's almost reaffirming a feminine that feels like they need to release this energy, because feminine's like, I can't operate in the optics of what this would require to be in partnership with you. It's like living in a glass house. It's like living in an illusion. Like you're putting me in a gingerbread house. This isn't real. Masculine and feminine, masculine in separation right now. This could be that moment or modality that's amplifying the difference between potentially feeling like, again, being in partnership versus being in divine union are different things. You can be in a relationship with someone, but you don't necessarily feel like that's a divine union. And masculine, you may be identifying and recognizing right now that feminine's trying to say something that feels like different. This could even be a feminine that's trying to amplify to you the difference between, you can call something anything you want. If you're not co-creating with feminine in this way, you could be married, you could be in a partnership, in a relationship, you're not in divine union. And that ability of feminine saying, I want to build with you. I want that clarity. I want us to have that. That is almost being amplified here. So for some of the masculine, it may feel like a struggle point, because what it is requiring is that feeling of having to surrender some aspect of your own feeling of autonomy. And for some of that masculine energy, you might just be in a place where you're not necessarily ready to do that. But even recognizing that is a gift that the feminine energy is providing you, because they're giving you some optics through which to recognize that that is occurring. Final card for today's spread between our Temperance card in combination with our Queen of Pentacles. Temperance card in its reversal with our Queen of Pentacles. King of Pentacles. This is the beauty of the counterpart energy. The beauty of the counterpart energy is such that when one person is weak, the other person is strong. That's the beauty of being in divine union. It doesn't require you to have to maintain the same modality all the time. It allows you some easement. It allows you some ability to recognize that when one is back, the other leans forward. Coming into that harmonics isn't one where you feel like you need to fall in lockstep with each other at every moment. It's being able to build that clarity point in recognizing how to do that better and better. And for the energy in the divine union, this is becoming a faster modality because it allows for a little bit of this, which means, again, seeing when someone almost anticipating a need before it's there, the feminine energy is able to provide it. Feminine's doing that. Why? Because masculine does that for feminine. These are energies that do this for each other. The energy in the divine union, it doesn't require you to have to be in that stability point all the time. It allows for that give and take, that flow state, and just being able to be open and honest with each other allows that to happen more fluidly. And it even allows masculine to be able to put their guard down, take a breather, have an easement point, knowing that the feminine will be there to support you on the other side. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. Masculine, you may be feeling like you're opening up to feminine in a way that makes you feel less than stable. You're revealing things to feminine that you may have felt like you never could reveal before. But the more that you may be discovering that the more that you're open to feminine, the more that you're able to express that instability, what's feminine doing? Becoming more stable. Becoming strong where you're weak. Showing you to a certain extent that there isn't something here, because this is a feminine energy. It's like willing to adapt and to be in that modality of being able to give you strength in those places that you need it. So we see here that ability to shift and flow is amplifying the energy right now that is able to come into the divine union frequency, because it's not requiring, and for feminine, the energy coming into divine union, your ability to see a masculine at a point of vulnerability, and again, not feel like that's a weakness on the part of the masculine, because this isn't a masculine who serves the purpose of just holding you up, is also amplifying your own journey, feminine, because this is a moment that you're able to provide that level or degree of stability for masculine, but it doesn't feel like an overcompensation. It feels like that moment that you're helping to allow a masculine energy to ground through and to see the fact that you are able to be stable so long as there is that clarity. And it is difficult. We even see now being able to ground through those moments can feel like a challenge, but the energy staying in the divine union is providing that stability to each other. Masculine and feminine in separation right now. If this is a masculine energy that is refusing to provide that stability to feminine, this is a misconstruction in terms of what stability looks like. Because if masculine, if you're trying to move towards feminine right now in a point of separation, and you're just trying to change the label of something or affirm your desire towards a feminine, this is a feminine almost trying to amplify what stability actually is versus what you're offering them. And it could be feeling like you guys are talking different languages, because this is a feminine energy that's trying to say in some way, shape, or form that the clarity is the offer, that you can call whatever you want, but if you're not giving feminine clarity and understanding, and you're just trying to drive towards feminine because of passion, feminine is almost saying that's not where stability lies with the feminine. So even now in separation, this could feel very triggering for a lot of the masculine energy right now, because this could be a lot of feminine energy that's like affirming their standpoint. And masculine, this could be that moment that like what the feminine is asking you for, it may feel like it is something that is difficult for you to discuss or destabilizing. And it's really making you kind of, again, do that internal journey if in separation as to like what it is that you truly want going forward. And whether you truly want to be in divine union with feminine energy to co-create, or if you're just looking for something that feels more like a companionate energy. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is 10 of Cups in its reversal. Masculine and feminine in divine union right now. That anxiety or that uncertainty about the future is always there to a certain extent. And we even see now a lot of this does feel like a lot of the situations that you're addressing, the reason that we see that you're addressing them is almost to re-fortify and enforce that future that you're trying to build for yourselves right now. Having those anxieties points, having those uncertainty points as it relates to the future is ever present. But that's why we see that for the energy in the divine union, not over focusing on the long-term goal, keeping that aspiration on the horizon mark, but putting a lot of care and attention into the moment now. Like a little bit of that back and forth right now does feel like a point of challenge, because it feels like you're navigating some hurdles that feel like they're blockages to your manifestation goals. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, that anxiety point, the reason that you may be feeling that uncertainty and being open now is almost that anxiety amplified in terms of feeling that it may put what you're hoping to achieve with someone at risk. But the ability and recognition that like the true viability point on whether you can grow with someone is the honesty that you can present in the moment, is literally the qualifier as it relates to whether you can actually grow towards like a mutual future goal. Because neither energy wants to be in a space or state. And again, this separation point here for energy and separation is the challenge, because it's not the desire to be with another energy right now. It's what that future looks like. Feminine can't exist in a future wherein they feel like they have to pretend they can't see something that they're seeing, or hoping that something will change that's giving no indication of changing. This is feminine energy feeling to a certain extent that the only way to move towards their manifestation goals is to move away from something that they aspire to right now, because it's not moving in the direction of that manifestation goal. Masculine, you may be feeling this right now as it relates to a feminine that you desire to move towards right now. But again, this is potentially a feminine that's amplifying that the conditions through which you are trying to move towards them, they don't feel like they're coming from a clarity and intentionality that allows you the building of choice in relation to recognizing the difference between one person's autonomous goals versus the goals that you build in union together. So for all of the energy right now, having a better understanding and focus on what that manifestation goal is going to have to help you like kind of effectively reverse engineer where you're trying to get to. So make sure that you're working a lot with your manifestation goals right now. That is our daily collective read for today. I'd like to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a reading on my website, it is a 2-step process. You have to book a reading and you have to pay for a reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I would like to thank you guys so much for being here with me today and sharing in these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow.